3 Golden Eagles for War Thunder. Link in the description.
I didn't know how those words would come back to haunt me. Can't hold me hostage, not anymore. I'm breaking from your bondage. You can't hold me hostage, not anymore. I'm breaking from your bondage. I'm not your hostage. I'm breaking from your bondage.
Hello you sexy beasts, welcome back to War Thunder. This is the Me-262 A-1a, a German rank 5 jet fighter with a battle rating of 7.0. This thing sits in tech tree right after the Me-163 and just before the Me-262 C-1a with the rocket boosters. Which is a weird placement, given that realistically this is a better entry-level jet than the Me-163 is, but we'll get to that in a bit. The Me-262 is overall a very balanced aircraft. You get 2 jet engines and 4 30mm cannons. However, these cannons are the Mk108, which are, they are the slow muzzle velocity kind of cannons, and they are very, very inaccurate at longer ranges, which means that you pretty much have to shotgun in order to use these guns effectively. The indicated top speed with the aircraft fully upgraded is 865 km per hour. However, this thing can go way over 1000 km per hour in a dive without ripping. This thing has some incredibly sturdy wings. The indicated turn time is 28 seconds with a 20 meters per second climb rate. Now the climb rate isn't anything special, you will probably face a prop that can climb better than this jet's. However, the turn time is something interesting because this aircraft is really quite balanced in terms of that. It can outturn stuff like the P-80, the F-80C, the F-84B, anything that's pretty much an American jet, this thing cannot turn. But when you face prop fighters, you can outrun them. Now the 4 30mm cannons in the nose feature a total of 360 rounds and have a pretty much decent fire rate. It's not the best around, but they are 30mm cannons, which means that once you hit something, they tend to blow up. The burst mass of this thing is actually quite amazing, sitting at 14.52 kilograms per second. That is extremely high. That's only 5 kilograms per second lower than the Hunter, which also has 4 30mm cannons. So yeah, this thing has quite a bit of burst mass. Of course, they compensate with that with horrible accuracy and muzzle velocity. The Me-262 A-1a can also carry up to 48 3-kilogram rockets. Yes, this thing is probably the aircraft with the largest rocket load in War Thunder, which means that you can use this thing effectively to hunt enemy bombers. Now, from the experience I've had, B-17s and B-29s don't tend to blow up in one rocket hit, but 2 or 3 should be fine to deal with any sort of aircraft. And these rockets are very effective when used in events such as Guardian Angel, where your objective is to attack a bomber formation. In normal RB battles, however, these rockets are generally useless, as they do slow down your aircraft quite a bit. As you can see, with the rockets installed, you are already looking at a 263 km per hour reduction in top speed, your turn time is increased, and your rate of climb is almost halved. So, unless you are absolutely sure that you're going to face a large formation of bombers, do not take the rockets. The 2 engines featured on the Me-262 are the Jumo 004 engines, if I am not mistaken, which are the good ones. There's a little thing. The rocket-boosted Me-262 seem to have a BMW engine, which is not quite as good at accelerating at low speeds as this thing is. These tend to have problems getting off the ground. This thing doesn't. As for armor, you don't really have all that much. You have a couple of plates here on the front, 16mm of steel, a steel plate protecting the gunner on the front and the back, also protecting one of the fuel tanks here in the back, and you have your standard bulletproof glass, which is actually quite thick and can be quite effective in head-ons. However, since the cannons are so inaccurate, you should avoid head-ons if you can. The airframe itself is actually very, very sturdy. The wings are extremely sturdy, not ripping whilst turning. I haven't been able to rip these wings whilst turning at any speed, at any g-force even. They can also go extremely fast, over 1000 km per hour, as I said earlier, without ripping off. This is due to the slight angling of the wing and the overall just rigidness. The wings are in fact so sturdy that you can land on your engines without having the landing gear deployed. And you're going to see that in the gameplay later on. Taking a look at the X-ray reveals that the Me-262 does not have fuel tanks on the wings, which is a huge advantage. If the enemy hits your wings, they can set the engine on fire, but since there are no fuel tanks, you have a quite good chance of surviving fires on the wings. The fuselage, however, is a problem. You have four massive fuel tank all around the pilot, which means that if one of these here gets set on fire, you might as well just bail out. You're not going to put out a fuselage fire. Alright, with the garage review done, let's get into the gameplay. The sun is shining, my wings are blinding me, and we are on Berlin. The perfect hunting ground for the Me-262. If we were going after bombers, that is. Which, yeah, there aren't really many bombers around. There's a Tu-2 over there, but yeah. I think that Arad is going to get him before us. Anyways, the Me-262 is a very versatile little aircraft. In my honest opinion, he's at the sweet spot of jet fighter aircraft in at least the German Tech Tree and probably in War Thunder as well. The 7.0 battle rating helps it a lot. Given that, well, the maximum you're going to face is 8.0, and 8.0 aircraft either tend to get up-tiered every single time. I really haven't faced many 8.0 aircraft in this thing, because they mostly just face top-tier jets. And you can also go all the way down to 6.0, which gives you an opportunity to chase a lot of prop aircraft. Now the cockpit is a bit blocky, you have some massive struts blocking your view, which can be a problem in sim battles. You also have problems looking behind you, the headrest is quite a bit obstructive, but in RB this generally isn't really a problem. And overall the aircraft is just a very beautiful thing. It looks very large as well, the fuselage looks a bit like a shark. I like to call this thing the air shark of War Thunder. Now flying around, I didn't notice those F-84s coming for me. And here is where the aptitudes of the Me-262 come in handy. The Me-262 is a jet that is very versatile in its role. Whilst the cannons rely on you to get up close to be effective, since they have a really slow muzzle velocity and quite bad accuracy, the overall stats of the aircraft, the flight model helps out a lot in that regards, giving you the ability to turn fight all the jets, except for maybe the Yak-15, the Yak-17, since those are essentially just Yak-3 or Yak-9 aircraft with jet engines on top. Those things can turn very well. But against P-80s, against F-84s, you can turn fight them all day long, which is a huge advantage. Now, you have to pay attention when there are other props in the game though. Facing a jet and a prop at the same time kind of limits your options. You cannot choose to turn fight the jet or run away from the prop, but not the same thing, the same at the same time, both at the same time. The F-84s, the P-80s, the F-80s are eventually going to catch you. They are much faster jet aircrafts than you are. Except for in a dive, you can maybe outrun them in the dive, but still, you shouldn't put your bets on it. As for props, pretty much every prop in the game can outturn you. There might be some exceptions, but especially at this battle rating, you tend to face stuff like the F-8F Bearcat, and that thing has no problem whatsoever turning with you. Now into the engagement with the free jet aircraft, we did take quite a bit of substantial damage. My right engine is completely dead, my right wing is also damaged, that pass just damaged my left engine, my cockpit is damaged, my right wing is even more damaged, my tail is damaged, pretty much everything is damaged. But as you can see, we are still alive. The Me-262 is a really resilient aircraft, as you can see now in this engagement here. When I was playing this, I was thinking I would die here. I couldn't turn. One of my engines is down, I can't accelerate. I can't turn either. The F-84 came in from behind me and did almost no damage. Most of the damage got absorbed by the fuselage, which is also extremely strong, so it doesn't really damage you all that much. The right engine was already down, so any shots going into that wouldn't have done anything either way. And the wings just kind of shrugged off any and all damage. It seems to me like the Me-262 is a very resistant aircraft to 50 caliber fire. You can pretty much take a lot of shots before going down. And I am actually going to make it back home. The F-84 is lining up for another attack run, aims for my left wing again. The engine of course is already dead, so no damage done there. He did hit the oil cooler of my left engine, which means I can't hold this thing in the air too much longer. We have a massive fuel leak, but we still have way enough to get back to the airbase. We are smoking all over the place. We now have 4 colors of smoke. And we have a lot of holes in our aircraft. As you can see, it's still flying. It's still responsive. The one engine that it still has makes it able to go back home, albeit not at very good speeds, but still able to go back home. And since the aircraft is so resistant, so strong, look at that landing. Look at that landing. Any other aircraft would have blown up on contact. This thing, nope. The engines take the hit, the wings don't break because they're very sturdy, and since you're landing on the engines and there's a lot of friction, you actually stop much earlier than if you were using the brakes and the landing gear. There's actually a little trick. If you need to land very quickly, just land on the engines. Forget about the landing gear. You're much faster landing on the engines and you still get the minimum repair time. Alright, rearming after that back-breaking landing, you could say. It wasn't really a soft landing. Yeah, it was like a hard landing. You should get a medal for hard landings as well. I mean, soft landings is... Everybody can do soft landings. But our team is now falling apart. My squad mate is the only player still left alive alongside me, and we have 3 aircraft closing in on us. There's the F-15 and there are 2 F-84s. No one of the F-84s is going low. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing. He's not going to actually engage us in a bit. I think he's going to die right there. The F-15 and the F-84, however, are going straight for me. Now, we have a lot of buildings around this airfield, and I'm trying to use that here. I don't have the speed to engage both of them, and here's the problem. The F-84 is a fast aircraft, and the Yak-15 is a very good turn fighter, which means I can't fight them both at the same time. However, luring the guys over the airfields resulted in the F-84 actually getting shot down by our airfield A-1a, which is awesome. That leaves me now to only fight the Yak-15. Now the Yak-15 can outturn me very easily, but my squad mate in the Me-262, in the other Me-262A1, has come back to assist me. And this is where the epicness starts. The other F-84 seems to be running back to base, not assisting his Yak-15. You could say he's a bad teammate, but at the same time he's kind of smart because we are currently fighting over our own airfield and we have a lot of AA fire, as the F-84 earlier has discovered. I'm actually surprised that his Yak-15 is still alive, but he did take some damage. He has a bit of white smoke trailing behind him, which means that his water cooling system is damaged. And given that the Yak-15's engine isn't all that great, it probably means that he can't fly all that well or all that long before overheating his engine. He tries to make a run for it, but the Me-262 has no problem whatsoever keeping up with the Yak-15 in a straight line. However, the turn rate of this thing is incredible. Look at the guy go. It's essentially just a Yak-3 or Yak-9. Those things can turn all day long against you. Pretty much what you have to do is disengage and engage. Try to set up the engagements on your own terms. Trying to go after us. He does have 23mm guns if I'm not mistaken, but he doesn't have many rounds. I think he only gets 120 rounds, which means that he can't really afford to shoot us at long range. Now my squad mate is still doing the baiting role here. We're kind of just alternating between attacking this guy, and this is pretty much perfect team play here. I think Me-262 probably would have problems because we would have to run away in order to engage this guy. But since we have 2 guys, we can pretty much just select and engage them at any one time. That head-on pass that the Yak-15 had with my squad mates left them both in a critical state. My squad mate has a critically damaged left wing, and seems like the Yak-15 also was damaged. Now, we are getting kind of far away from our airfield, so I tried to lure the guy back. My squad mate pretty much can't really do much anymore, since his left wing is pretty damaged. But the other F-84 still isn't back. Now, I tell my teammate that we have to get this guy before the other jet comes back, because we can't really fight them both at the same time. The Me-262 is a very versatile aircraft in a one-on-one battle, since you can pretty much engage as you wish. When fighting jets that aren't the Yak-15, you can turn a fight. When fighting props or Yak-15s, you can energy fight. However, if you face two aircraft that can fulfill both roles, so if you face a turn fighter and an NJ fighter, you're pretty much are screwed. And the final pass on the F-15 finally takes him out. As you can see, you need to lead a lot with these guns. These MK-108s are infamous for the low muzzle velocity and the inaccuracy of their guns. However, most of the time, since these are 30mm Minengeschoss shells, most of the time a single hit tends to kill them. And whilst we are waiting for the enemy F-84 to come back, my teammate has to land, so I decide to go high and circle around the airfield to, well, pretty much cover him. However, the other F-84 never comes back. He lands on the airfield and quits. He just gave up on us. And that's mission over. Now, we didn't get many kills there, we only got the one kill on the Yak-15. However, I chose this gameplay to show you guys exactly what the Me-262 is capable of. You can take a lot of damage, you can choose the way you want to fight, and it's overall a very good introductory aircraft to jet battles. However, since you have to get through the Me-163 to get to this aircraft, it's in a bit of a weird position. I wish the TMA-163 was in a different tech tree. If it was between the HE-162 and the MiG-15 BIS, for example, it would be in a much better place. However, getting to this thing through the ME-163 is a bit weird, because they are completely different playstyles. Now as for the pros and cons of the Me-262 A-1a. The Me-262 is very versatile, I just can't stress this point enough. You can outturn American jets and you can outspeed props. You have to watch when they dive on you. There are many props that can catch you in a dive, but however, since you can go way over 1000 km/h in a dive without breaking your wings, you can most of the time just dive away from them as well. The guns are kind of a mixed bag. You get a very high burst mass, and of course they are 30mm cannons, which means that most of the time a single or two hits should be able to do the job. However, since they are the MK-108s with the red short barrel, they have a very low muzzle velocity and very poor accuracy at anything over 400 meters, which means that you have to get very up close and personal to get shots on targets. This is pretty much a shotgunning aircraft. Imagine that you have a shotgun. Don't think of these cannons as anti-aircraft cannons, think of them as a shotgun. Get as close as possible, pull the trigger, and watch them just fall apart. You do get quite a bit of ammo. 360 rounds across all 4 cannons is enough for most engagements. You can probably survive 2, 3, 4 engagements depending on how you conserve your ammo. Especially if you go with only short bursts at very close range, you can pretty much carry the whole game with those 360 rounds. However, if you try to go for head-ons, if you try to go for long-range shots, you tend to expend all of your ammo before even getting a single hit. Given that the Me-262A1 gets 2 engines, you can still make it home if one of those engines is disabled, which is a huge advantage, as you saw in this gameplay. On only one engine, I still made it back home at around 400 km/h and was able to repair. Any other jet aircraft, if my engine was down, I would not have survived that initial part of the battle. Which leads me to the Me-262 just being overall a very resistant aircraft. It can take hits. Now, here's the difference though. It can take 50 caliber hits, so pretty much when you are facing American aircraft, you are golden. You are golden. They're going to need to put a lot of shots into you before you go down. However, 20mm cannons, 23mm cannons, anything British or Russian, you are going to have some problems, of course, because those are larger caliber guns. Now, the fuselage can still take some hits, however you have to watch out for incendiary shots putting your fuel tanks on fire. The wings are very sturdy, but of course, wings aren't really enoughly armored to withstand cannon fire, so those can still clip off. Of course, one of the major advantages of having 2 engines mounted on the wings is that you can land on them without breaking your aircraft. You can pretty much even land at 500 km/h and still stop in time, which is a huge advantage when you have to go for the quick landing, quick rearming, or when you just don't have any gear left, or when your aircraft is just crippled to the point that you can't make an accurate landing. This thing can withstand rough landings while still having the minimum repair time, which can get you back up in the air very quickly. Overall, the Me-262A1 is just a very good introductory jet to jet combat in War Thunder. It's very versatile, it's fast, it's resilient, it has good guns, at close range of course, so it is pretty much a perfect training jet for when you want to go into top tier battles. And there's a good PR for that as well. The 7.0 battle rating means that you don't face top tier jets, so you don't get clubbed on. And even if you do face 8.0 jets, you can still pick and choose your engagements. F-84s, no problem, you can turn fight them. the MiG-9s, you can turn fight them as well. Overall, you can just pretty much fare well in all battle rating ranges. That being said, you do rarely get up-tiered. I don't tend to face many 8.0 aircraft. I don't think I've ever faced a MiG-9 in this thing, which tells a lot. But of course, the main problem of this thing are the guns. Whilst the Flight Model 6 is extremely good, and the guns in itself are very good when you get your shots in, again, they just have a very slow muzzle velocity and are very inaccurate. You have to get as close as possible to use these guns effectively. And head-ons aren't really good. Just try to avoid head-ons as much as you can. Whilst P8s and stuff have, well, just 50 caliber shots, they are much more accurate and much faster than your shots. So, this has been it for the ME262 A-1a. Hopefully I have convinced you guys to actually fly this aircraft, because it's really quite good. It's a perfect introductory jet, a perfect training jet for getting into higher tier combat, and hopefully you can unlock it yourself. Now, you can now vote on the top right corner on the info card that just popped up for the next vehicle. I think the next tank is going to be the Iron Duke. I must check the polls, but if I'm not mistaken, you guys want to see the Iron Duke next. So expect a gameplay on that somewhere next week, because, well, it's Interu time. Yeah, I'm going to be drunk this whole week. There are going to be some interesting vlogs. Anyways, like this video if you did, subscribe if you're new around here, and as always, my name is MikeGoesBoom. Thanks for watching.
You can lift your head up to the sky, take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind. Or instead you could always stay. We can wait right here and play until somehow you can find a slight